Hello everyone, this is another episode of Picking the Right Launch, and in today's review, I was actually planning to do this in 2025, but since the launch has been brought forward in the form of a Happy New Year for property buyers out there who were still reeling from the 6 launches weekend in November, I thought, hey, might as well bring this forward to talk about this blockbuster. Is this already my launch of first half 2025 at the start of the year? Stay all the way to the end for that. But it will be in many people's eyes. Why? Because this neighborhood haven't had any launches in the past 8 years, and it doesn't help that it is in a relatively mature estate that doesn't have much options to begin with. What are we talking about? Orie at Toa Payoh is what we'll be talking about today, and I apologize first if the video here today is going to be pretty long because there's really quite some bit to cover, and if you're looking for an online review talking about 1,000 things about Orie, like how many steps to the MRT lah, or which makan is nice there lah, you might want to skip past this and check out all the other reviews, as I'll be covering just the important points that matters today. Again, I think a balloting number will decide your fate, or rather, buying in bulk will probably get you the best chance to hit the good price ones lah. But I doubt the situation will be as crazy as EOK lah. Okay, before I start, if you're liking our video so far and haven't subscribed yet, this is my last shout out of the year, so please do so, as I aim to bring you a pocket view, as my channel name suggests, of the real estate market. If you're someone who probably needs a dude here with a decade or so more experience to guide you with potentially the Orie or beyond, you know who to call. So, Orie is jointly developed by CDR and Fraser and Seisuke House. I think I pronounced this correctly, right? Land was bought at 1360 per square foot per plot ratio. To give you some context, EOK and Nava Grove got their lands at 1069 per square foot per plot ratio and 1223 respectively. Now, this goes to show you how cheap Sinland got their land at EOK, right? Anyway, enough of that, and back to it. With the price CDR paid for, we expect a likely break-even of 2305 per square foot if I use the previous method of calculation. Now, because this is a harmonized plot, I want to add an additional 8% on top of that to really get a sense of where it might really start from, and that number is approximately 2490 per square foot. For you! Then if I were to add an additional 10 to 15% profit margin, we're looking at between 2739 per square foot to 2863 per square foot. Is that pricing okay or not okay? We will get into that just a bit. As usual, I'll be using the QPE Framework method today to walk you guys through to see if Orie is something that you should be watching out for or not. Again, for those who are here for the first time, and if you don't know what the QPE method is about, please find the link in my description explaining in a 3-parter what the framework is all about. So, let's go! Now, first circle, quality. Number 1, land size, facilities and facades. Now, the development sits on a 169,000 square feet piece of land housing 2 towers of 40-story, 777 units in total. Quite an auspicious number, 777. Most of the units are mainly north-south facing, full condo facilities. You have the segregation of different zones in the condo itself, serenity gardens, social garden, play garden, central garden, yada yada, and the club Orie that looks actually quite like the Club Amber at Amber Park. Almost 2 lap pool in the middle of the development with a tennis court at the corner, which is quite rare given the land size is big enough, but the type of size that most developers might opt away from building one. So all in all, given that I visited all the Toa Payoh properties, this should stand out in time to come in that neighborhood. Second point, layouts, and for this I'll be spending most of the time talking about it because this will be the selling point of Orie. On its own, I think the layouts are very normal, nothing too fanciful, leaning more towards being safe. But if I'm someone looking at only at Toa Payoh, then you have probably the better layouts in my opinion. For some context, these are the layouts at surrounding projects like the Trevista, Gem Residences, Olera Towers and Trellis Towers. Now, among all this competition, I kind of liked Trellis Tower the best, but I think if you look at the rest as a whole, like Trevista in particular, large 4-bedroom space, but look how much of it goes to the bay window, planter, and even more balcony space and planter at the kitchen area. It is perhaps the era of properties where bay window was much hated, but look how far have we come. From these kind of layouts to generally cleaner and more efficient layouts with less wasted space without calculating the AC ledge in. Again, I'm not saying Orie layout is extremely good or extremely bad. It's just a very safe sort of design that people will likely accept in time to come. So let's look at it. First one. 1+ study, as usual, I don't really care, so skip. 2-bed, 1-bath, dumbbell layout, 592 square feet, nothing too special or off about it. Good that you get the window at that kitchen area so that you won't suffocate or find it too dark. It's facing mainly the outside, which also likely mean that any starting price for the 2 bedrooms will likely come from the lower floors of this unit type. Higher floors should also get a very impressive view, which can also become very pricey. So you go through the part of balancing between what your priorities are, whether is it for own use or for investment. Next up, 646 square feet, 2-bed, 2-bath, dumbbell layout. Very good size that is just about right. Now, one of the typical dumbbell layouts facing the pool, so I expect the starting per square foot on this to be slightly higher as compared to the previous one. 2+ study, 700 square feet. This is the show flat unit that I kind of like the most. Nice glass on the kitchen side that makes the whole house looks visually bigger and brighter. One small point, no windows on any of the area that is best to have, but that is usually quite consistent for dumbbell layouts, so nothing to really fault. Now there's supposed to be a 3-bedroom compact unit next, but we weren't given a look at it, so I think we'll skip to the next one, which is the 3-bedroom premium, the 1044 square feet with only one stack overlooking the northern side. Portrait layout, whatever you need in a 3-bedroom, you will just about get it. Very clean. Oh yeah, forgot to mention, I think all the Orie rooms should be about 9 square meter or under that by the looks of it. Next up, 3-bedroom dual key, 3-bedroom piece of skip. 4-bedroom, 1216 square feet. Next up is like the bigger version of the 3-bedroom premium, but in this you get an additional dry kitchen and the 4th bedroom. Unfortunately not a preferred landscape layout, but a portrait layout still stands out for some. Facing towards the southern side, smart move because the family who wants the city or MBS view on the higher floor for own use will likely pay the premium for one. Next one, 4+ study, 1367 square feet. Again, this is a slightly bigger version of the 4-bedroom by adding just an additional study. Otherwise, the essence of the layout is very similar. This is the pool facing, so I think a low floor also can be quite nice. And then the final one, the 5-bedroom unit type. The only layout that has a private lift in the unit itself. Good lah, it's like a 4-bedroom on steroids with a much larger living and dining with all the bedrooms stuck at one corner. And looking at the position of where the 5-bedroom unit types will give you a glimpse to understand what the preferred facings are in the eyes of the developer, as the best views are usually reserved for the larger ones. So we are done with all the layout types, very safe and pretty straightforward, right? Again, as mentioned, I think on a normal circumstances, it is quite average, but if I were to pit it against all the other developments only in Toa Payoh, then we should be able to stand out from a resale market perspective 3 to 5 years down the road. Third point, location, MRTs and amenities. What's there to really talk about this? 4 minutes walk to better MRT in the heart of Toa Payoh, what more? Point number 4, views. On the lower floors, you should be able to get a decent view of the pool, but once you start to hit above 20th floor, I can imagine the views will be quite amazing, but price also amazing. All in all, first circle of quality, Orie checks the box for me, not by a great distance, but just about there. Next circle, exit strategy. Again, come on, this is Toa Payoh, a very, very mature estate. We're going to get plenty of HDB upgraders coming from Toa Payoh itself. And tell me, is Toa Payoh HDB going to be expensive? Of course, expensive lah. Also, here you will get Pt.3 in public school as a good option to consider for families looking to put their kids to a solid school. So for this third circle of exit strategy, it is the same for EOK and this. No need to be too bothered by it, confirm will have exit in the future. Which brings me to the next most important circle. What is it? Price lah. The price will always decide everything, even if the product is extremely nice. So let's talk about price, since we expect the break-even to be around 2490 per square foot or 2005 per square foot. We can safely say that they can launch from 2005 all the way up to a 20% profit margin of 3000 per square foot, probably for the top floor units. But for simple math, let's just use a range of guide price 2500 per square foot to an average of 2750 per square foot, shall we? So probably this would be a mid-floor unit at the upper end. And we compare with the surrounding resale competition and similar launches to stress test the price. Now for new launch, I think it's fair for us to use the recent Chuan Park as the closest reference. In that manner, we can do this analysis of Orie to see if there are some good value buys out there in the resale market or not. Disclaimer, Trellis is the only freehold among all these comparable developments. Now, first one, 2-bed, 1-bath, 592 square feet, a guide price of $1.539 million to an average of $1.628 million. Now, for a smaller unit type, I will use 2,600 per square foot guide price to be a little bit more realistic. For this category, only Gem Residence has a similar configuration with almost the same size, although it belongs to pre-harmonization. So in this case of Orie, we are getting a much larger size. Anyway, Gem sells theirs for close to $1.2 million, which means the gap is close to 400k. What do you guys think of this price gap? Next up, 2-bed, 2-bath, 646 square feet, $1.68 million to $1.77 million at $2,750 per square foot. Now, Chuan Park recently sold their 2-bed, 2-bath at between $1.75 to $1.9 million. So I think from a new launch perspective, this is fair. From the resale side, Gem sells theirs at $1.35 million. Larger 2 bedrooms at Trevista around $1.7 million. Although we all know their extra space mainly goes to the bay window and planter boxes. Trellis sells at $1.4 million with a very clean layout. Olinda's Towers, no transaction this year, which means that the surrounding older properties actively trades at no more than $1.4 million. So at between $1.68 to $1.77 million, can or cannot. Of course, if you bring the numbers close to everyone else, then good lah, which also means that if it's purely from an investment point of view, you might want to focus on the lower floors. Next one, 3-bedroom premium, 1,044 square feet. For the 3 bedrooms, I will start with a $2,500 per square foot guide price, meaning it's going to be the range of $2.61 million all the way to $2.87 million for the 2,750 per square foot. Now, Olinda Towers sells theirs at around $1.8 million. Trevesta, slightly bigger size, sells between 2.2 to 2.3 million. Again, a lot of bay windows and planters, so I think the size should feel quite similar to the Orie. Trellis Tower also $2.2 million plus minus, although there's hardly any wasted space, no balcony, and rooms are much bigger. Gem sells theirs at under $2.1 million for their larger 3 bedrooms and not that triple key. For dual key, I cannot take it already, let alone triple key. So resale trades at around $2.3 million tops, and new launch Chuan Park sales for between $2.6 to $2.7 million, and we might be looking at between a guide price of $2.61 to probably around average $2.87 million. Good or no good? What do you think? Next up, 4-bedroom, 1,216 square feet, $3.35 million on average, maybe start from $3.05 million. Both Olinda Towers and Trellis have limited 4-bedrooms units with no transactions in the past 2 years. Gem goes for about $2.6 million. Trevista, 4-bedroom, 1,700 square feet, very big, but with plenty of wasted space, went for around $3.2 million. Chuan Park, new launch, transacted between $3.3 to $3.6 million. So in reality, if the range is between $3.05 to $3.35 million, it would fall under the entry level that might attract upgraders who have limited choices in the Toa Payoh area without breaking the bank. Yeah, size might be a little bit smaller, but it's still 4 fully functional rooms, and of course the entry level is suite. Finally, the 5-bedroom, 1,453 square feet layout from maybe $3.632 million to an average of about $4 million. Now, your only other competition in the neighborhood is Gem Residences, which transacted their 1,313 square feet at about $2.6 million, which is almost $1 million off from our guide price. But if you look closely at the layout, I think it's quite self-explanatory. 2 bedrooms cannot even fit in a queen-size bed. Master bedroom, very tiny. Chuan Park also did theirs between $3.9 million to $4 million for their 5 bedrooms. In this instance, I believe you stand alone in the Toa Payoh area if you are thinking of getting one for your own use and also half a mind for future capital upside. When there's strong competition for a sought-after unit with hardly any supply, what do you think the outlook is going to be? So, now that you guys have understood what kind of prices we might be getting for Orie and how it adds up against neighboring competition, all we need to wait for is actual price on launch day itself. Again, I will reiterate that I'm using the range of 2,500 to 2,750 per square foot as a barometer to see if we are much closer to our competitions or not. Maybe CDL decides to launch much higher or lower, nobody knows. But instead of sitting around and possibly reacting only on launch day, you can stress test all the different price points to prep yourself a little bit, okay? Because the best way to make a sound decision is to understand all the different comparisons. Without comparisons, you will not be able to make a sound judgment to determine if it's a safe bet or not. Of course, price is not everything. The quality and exit strategy has to add up, and in this case, Orie checks all the box. Exit strategy is very clear, quality is there, although it can be better in many other ways. So all you got to do now is to wait for the actual price to decide if Orie is a suitable option for you or not. For investment, and because it's skyscraper, meaning the lowest floor and highest floor is likely going to have a very significant gap, you better make sure you're buying as a bulk purchaser like EOK, or that you just make your way down to a temple, church or mosque to pray for a very good number, because the lower floors will likely be the most optimized picks even if the view is not too great. If it's for own use, then choose what's comfortable for you, because the emotional side of things will take center stage in your decision making process. Sometimes it's not easy to juggle between getting the best investment unit and the best unit for your own use. But one thing I know for sure is if you're someone who is very adamant on getting a unit at Toa Payoh, then you're probably getting the better ones and certainly the newest one around the block. Although the layouts are very predictable and normal, it still stands out against the rest of the competition, with the exception of perhaps the 3D tower. The layouts there are very good. The amount of HDB upgraders that will form the bulk of the purchasing activities down the road is going to be huge. But as per every upgrader market, please watch out for the entry level, as the buyers might be more sensitive on that than anything else. So is this my launch of first half 2025? Unfortunately, it isn't for various reasons. I prefer not to divulge here, but will it sell well? Of course, it will sell well. How much? I think maybe like 60-70% conservatively, because it is really about the location that has a lot of buyers constantly on the lookout for, and you add that with the spillover effect from the 6 launches with those group of buyers missing out, they will likely hit this anytime. Now, if this sells between 80-90% and upwards, I think the market is officially in overdrive mode, and the rest of the market, including the resale market, will get a pretty decent push through, which might trigger the government to intervene, potentially with cooling measures. Who knows? So for those who are looking at Orie and plan to visit a show flat in January but don't have anyone to bring you there, please feel free to reach out to me, because this is going to be a project that requires a lot of price limits that you must not cross, and I'm going to shamelessly plug my service here. We legit had 2 clients from the EOK exercise that we chose to walk away from with the high prices for the given leftover unit. With that, again, it is the end of the year. I would like to wish every one of you a Merry Christmas. 2025 promises to be an even more exciting year, so please stay safe and have a blast until 2025. This is Pocket View signing out in 2024.